The world-renowned soprano began gracing the world's greatest opera houses and concert halls decades ago. She is a four-time Grammy winner who earned the National Medal of Arts back in 2012. Fleming is the first classical artist to sing the national anthem at a Super Bowl. I remember that. And now she's making her Broadway musical debut in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel. Well, playing Nettie Fowler, Fleming sings You'll Never Walk Alone in what's known as Richard Rodgers' favorite musical. We welcome Renee Fleming to the table in Studio 57. Hello.
Hi, thank you, Gayle.
Thank you. So it's your first Broadway musical. Is this something you've always wanted to do?
Well, not really. You know, I wasn't aspiring to take on new worlds. It came out of the blue, and the timing seemed right. And
Came out of the blue from where? How?
From Scott Rudin, from the producer, and Jack O'Brien, the director, and Andy Einhorn. And
they called you up and said what?
They said, "How would you love to do this? Would you consider doing this? We would love to have you." And I just thought, you know, that would be. I'm the kind of person that if I said no, I would always wonder what if.
What if?
Yeah. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to try this.
And how's the transition been from opera to Broadway?
Well, it's been, you know, I knew it was going to be a shock to my system because 8 shows a week is an enormous challenge. And we're kind of, you know, we're sort of the power lifters of singing. We're not amplified in classical music, so we can't do more than maximum 3 a week because we need the downtime. So this, I thought, how am I going to do this? But amplification makes it much easier. And
what does that mean, amplification?
So when you have a microphone, instead of the body doing the power, the technology does the power for us.
Okay.
And so you can afford not quite to get so tired.
And how does that, for somebody, I mean, how different is that in terms of singing? Is that a small change or is that a real big change?
Oh, it's huge. It's massive. I mean, because, you know, if you go to the stage of the Metropolitan Opera, for instance, which seats 4,000 people, there's no microphone. We are.
I hadn't thought about that.
We're like ventriloquists, you know.
I hadn't thought about that.
No, it's really different, and you know, technically speaking, how we sing.
Did that take a little bit of an adjustment on stage?
I'm still adjusting.
Yeah.
I'm still adjusting.
And what about Carousel is such a famous work.
Oh, wow.
I mean, You'll Never Walk Alone is just. And what's it feel like to take on something that has that much history and that it's that well known?
Well, I've sung the piece for a long time. I also sang it at the 9/11 memorial, and people love the song. I mean, it's one of those iconic pieces like Amazing Grace and Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah that everyone loves. But to do it in the context of the piece is different. It's so emotional. It's so much more about that incredibly tragic moment.
And you were saying that this time when you're doing this, you don't have to travel, that you get to be home.
I know.
What's that like? You know, you could take up a residency in Vegas, then you don't have to travel at all.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's an idea for
there you
Renee
go.
Fleming.
Yeah. That hasn't been offered yet.
But you don't have to travel, so you are home.
I'm home. I'm learning how to cook. I'm, you know, biking everywhere and having a blast. it's really a pleasure to sleep in your own bed. I'm cleaning out closets for the first time in a long time.
You are physically cleaning out closets
It's
yourself?
very exciting.
Is it?
Someone who has the most beautiful gowns in the
Yes,
world.
I know.
I have to ask you about this partnership that the Kennedy Center and the National Institute of Health are doing about the connection between the music and the brain. I'm fascinated. What have you learned so far?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Well, first of all, I mean, to be a consultant for the Kennedy Center is a privilege, and to connect with the other major institution, one of them in Washington, is even better. But what we've discovered and what I've learned is that the brain and music are so intertwined, and music has a very powerful effect on the brain. So it affects childhood development. It makes kids into better students. It has a lot to do with the amount of therapy that can be given to people who've had traumatic brain injury, stroke, Alzheimer's, autism, so many treatments that are music-based. And imagine pain relief, for instance. And thinking about isolation and loneliness is one of the really tragic epidemics in our country. Music and a shared community experience of the performing arts can be very helpful in that. And the other thing is research. So modern history is short compared to all of the history of man, and music, cave paintings, all of these things kept us together.
Renee, rumor is you're the commencement speaker for Northwestern coming up. I know someone in the class are very excited about you coming. What's your overall message? Do you know yet?
Oh, listen, you know what? I have too many messages, so I'm going to try and narrow it down and pick and choose a little bit. But I do want to focus a little bit on this community, about keeping your community healthy, whether it's at home, the smaller group that you're in, the city, city that you're in, and thinking really micro instead of macro.
Renee, you have the most beautiful voice in the world. We're so thrilled to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on Carousel.